Wow, what a way to start this panel. It's hard to follow that video and that announcement, but we will do our best. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Ray Pilarski with Code for America, and I'm joined by our panelists today, Bridget Roberts with the Internal Revenue Service, Merici Vinton with the U.S. Digital Services, and Courtney O'Reilly with Code for America. So I want to just dive right in and give the people what they want. Let's start out with a softball question for you, Bridget, because I can't get enough of the answer. What can you tell us about the future of DirectFile?
So I'm super excited to be here in all places for this today to be the big announcement that we delivered an incredible pilot this filing season, thanks in large part to the support from many of you in this room. And as of today, the IRS has announced that DirectFile is a new permanent option that taxpayers will have for filing their taxes for free.
So I'm realizing that we're going to need to factor in the applause to our timing, so thank you for that heads up. Courtney, I want to toss it to you, because you've been working in this space for many years trying to connect folks to free, accessible tax filing. What is the significance of DirectFile through that lens of your experience?
Yeah, Ray, and I think between the two of us, we have several decades of experience in this world. And during that time, and most importantly, in the last few years at Code for America, we have become acutely aware of the many barriers preventing individuals from filing their tax return and accessing their tax benefits. And knowing all of those barriers and understanding them, we dreamt of a day where there would be a publicly owned tool that was easy to use, free, and accessible to families. And we thought of that as a far-off goal that was going to take many, many, many years to achieve. And then suddenly, we have an answer to that. And last year, the announcement of the DirectFile pilot was that dream that came into reality. And I will admit that while we said that was a historic first step, all of these things, I so underestimated just how much they were going to be able to accomplish in that first year. And I think it was just incredible to watch something that was so profoundly based on user needs, and specifically low-income users who face the most barriers in accessing this system. And if they were able to do all of that in the first year, the amount of excitement and applause that you all are feeling is just so much more as we see what becomes of that next year and many years beyond. So, yeah, it's a big deal.
In summary, it's a big deal. So a lot of folks in the room know that it's one thing to launch a pilot for a product, and it's another thing to do that well. I want to quote The Atlantic here, because they said that against all odds, the government has created an actually good piece of technology. High praise. So, Merici, I think we're all interested in the recipe for your special sauce. Can you tell us how you all on the product team made this happen?
Awesome, and we have all day, right?
Of course, yeah.
Talking about this team of incredible humans is one of my favorite topics. So I would say first and foremost, we were building a tax product for the IRS and with the IRS. And so it had to be accurate, but really we wanted to relentlessly focus on an excellent taxpayer experience. And so all of our prioritization and decision-making went into how can we reduce the burden of tax filing? How can we make it transparent? How can we make it less scary? How can we make things clear and as straightforward as possible? People who use DirectFile, 86% said that it increased their trust in the IRS. And that number is such an incredible number when we think about all the work that we all do and to have that impact in just a short period of time. The second is kind of thing I like to think about, the ingredient in the recipe, is how we did it. So it was a multi-agency, multidisciplinary, multi-vendor team. We basically stripped our institutional boundaries and organizational boundaries, and we all came together to focus on one goal. That team did user research with users from day one. So we built the product with our users from the get-go. Accessibility was incredibly important. There wasn't one person on the team responsible for accessibility. The entire team was responsible for accessibility. We call DirectFile a service. We say that because it's the product team and the customer support team, both reporting into Bridget. The original idea was that taxpayers would have the same experience if they're on the product or talking to our agents, but it also meant we had an iterative feedback loop all throughout filing season. That when people had a confusing spot or we wanted to ask our CSRs to ask users questions, we could do that. That iterative feedback loop was awesome, and it really kind of meant that we could do a lot of real-time fixes, over 1,000 during filing season, in real time throughout the filing season. The other ingredient was our rollout strategy. We started small. By small, I mean one person. So we first launched DirectFile to one person, and then we fixed some things. One. Before we went to a few people, and then we fixed some more things. And then we added an integration, and we went to one more person to test that integration. That's what we mean by starting small. And that is what helped maintain our trust throughout filing season. And the last ingredient is leadership. Incredible leadership from the IRS, from Bridget, from the commissioner. It really took a village to launch DirectFile. It took people on the stage, it took people in this room, it took our states, it took Treasury, it took White House. It took every bit of our outreach efforts with partners to launch DirectFile. It was quite a powerful recipe.
Thank you.
Powerful.
So I know that we have folks from state governments in the room. I have a feeling that there may be some interest brewing. So Bridget, can you tell us how DirectFile expands to different states and how states can get involved?
Sure. So I think one of the things that we're looking at, obviously, now that DirectFile is permanent, there's something that we can all plan for, is making DirectFile available to more taxpayers. And part of that is increasing the tax scope of situations that we support, but a big part of it is making it available in additional states. And just to go back to what Merici said, we started intentionally small, and that was with the states as well. We had some incredible state partners this year. California, Arizona, Massachusetts, New York, Washington, states that took a chance on a pilot that didn't exist yet. At this point, it was just a prototype and a PDF of a report, and they were willing to come along on this journey with us, and we learned a lot. I think the states themselves learned a lot about what it meant to allow taxpayers to seamlessly file both their federal and state returns, even though they were two totally separate tools. So we're really excited to take what we have learned, both from our work with the states and what we've heard from users as we move into this second year, and open DirectFile up to any state that wants to partner with us. We are there. We've fumbled a bit during the pilot. There was a lot of learning that we had to do, and I think moving into a second year, we would love to engage with as many states that want to partner with us and bring DirectFile to their taxpayers. We have an incredible team that will support states in terms of what you need to integrate with DirectFile and bring this to your state. So we're really excited now with this announcement to start engaging with states and bring them into DirectFile with us.
Awesome. To piggyback on that, Courtney, can you talk a little bit about Code for America's role in supporting states who are involved in DirectFile?
Yeah, Code for America had a wonderful opportunity to be part of the pilot year by partnering with two incredible state partners in Arizona and New York. We are so grateful, as was already said, most of this takes a village, and it was through these close partnerships and our incredible, dedicated tax benefits team, shout out to all of them in the audience that made this possible. We were able to launch File Your State Taxes, which was an integrated state filing tool with Direct File, so that people could seamlessly file their federal return and then come over and simply file their state tax return in a matter of minutes. And, because today seems like the day of all the wonderful and great announcements, I can't believe I get to do this, but we are thrilled to announce that with the continuation of Direct File, Code for America is going to be extending File Your State Taxes to a handful of new states. And so we are so thrilled to be able to expand this and serve many more taxpayers come next year. And we definitely cannot do this alone. And so we really encourage and invite everybody in this audience to think about how you can make a difference in making sure Direct File is accessible to people throughout this country. Later today, we have a breakout session where we'll go into much more detail about what that looks like. And we hope you'll join us and ask questions and learn a bit more about what this means, because I am confident that every person in this room has a place to make sure this is successful long into the future.
Thank you. So, Merici, I'm sure at this point you're being bombarded with questions about new functionality that folks can look forward to in Direct File. So apologies for adding this other question to the pile. What can we look forward to related to functionality in the future?
So every version of Direct File the next version of Direct File is the best version of Direct File, and so that's going to continue. So a couple things. First and foremost, we published an after action report. It is a light and easy 50-page read if you want to check it out on your airplane ride home if you haven't memorized it yet, like she has. So in there, one of the opportunities that we talk about is open source. And so we're looking at ways to open source Direct File in the future, following partners like Code for America open source their tool. It's a really exciting opportunity in this space. There's other government agencies who've done this, and we want to do similar in the future. I think the second thing is we have a ton of user feedback. So we have surveys, we have feedback from our customer support agents that came in through live chat. And so now we're looking at ways to prioritize that feedback to make our features, our experience even better, more transparent, more straightforward. Taxes are confusing. So what are ways that we can simplify that experience even more? Finally, throughout filing season, we noticed a trend of kind of accepted returns, or returns getting rejected at a higher rate than we wanted, specifically for a simple error like you input your last year's AGI, kind of misinput it into Direct File, which caused you to have your return rejected. So what we did is we connected Direct File to the IRS online account and actually kind of imported some of that information into Direct File. And we saw a 25% reduction in rejected returns overnight. And so we want to look at ways where we can take that connection between online accounts with the information that the IRS has about you, and see if we can continue to simplify the filings, simplify and streamline that tax filing process. So there's a lot of opportunities. We have a really great foundation to build upon, and really looking forward to what happens next year.
All right. You heard it here. You're going to have to come back next year to get the full answer to that question. I want to thank you all for joining us today. I want to thank our panelists for being here as well. There is so much more to learn about Direct File, so please do join us for the session this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.